Hi, Shannon. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so very much, Shannon, for being on the show. And you see, hmm, okay, let me start like this. Oftentimes, I love to appreciate my guests for two main things. Firstly, Shannon, I want to say a big thank you for investing in yourself. You see, Shannon, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, I was on that road some months back, Shannon, and there was this mango tree by the roadside, and you see, I just walked past it. Why? Because it's got no mangoes on it, and it doesn't look attractive to me. Then, just recently, okay, I was on that same road again, but this time around, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from afar. Then I had the urge to, move closer and have a good look. Then when I got so close to the mango tree, oh man, it wowed me. Because this time around, it's got a lot of mangoes on it. Not just mangoes, but ripe mangoes on it. And it looks just so beautiful and attractive and all. So the point is, the fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing person that you are today attracted me to you. And you see, that's why when I was reading a bit about you, I just couldn't take my eyes off the amazing things I was seeing and how good your work is and the impact you're making. So I want to say thank you for being this amazing person. And secondly, thank you for honoring the invite because if you had said nope, there was nothing I could do about it. So thank you so very much. Okay, let's get started. Shannon, yeah, I am quite excited to have you on the show for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking, because I believe in order to transition from a terrible situation to a beautiful one, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, not just acquiring knowledge, but applying knowledge. And you see, Shannon, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the amazing listeners. Okay, I mentioned listeners. Yeah, that's the second reason why I'm excited to have you on the show, Shada. For their sake. You see, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information flying out there. How to do this and how to do this and all. So these folks trust me for quality information. And when I was reading about you, I was excited about the things I saw because I believe our conversation is not only going to be insightful, but also impactful. So for that reason, Shannon, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey, We're just so curious. We want to know how you got here. And afterwards, I've got some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Shannon, over to you.
Well, thank you, Life. I really appreciate all of your kind words, and I certainly appreciate what you're creating in the world. It's super important that we all share knowledge. It's how we can all live a better life, and so I'm grateful to be here. So thank you. And actually, if you would have told me 20 years ago, 10 years ago, this is where I would be, this is what I'd be doing, I would not believe it because I was on a completely different trajectory with my career. I was a almost C-level person at an insurance company. I was like the first woman in that environment at that level. And, I was clipping along, my husband and I with 4 kids. But we had something change in our life that kind of took us down a new path. And that is when our third child was born, he had a lot of health issues that he was healthy, thankfully, 10 fingers, 10 toes. But from the moment we brought him home at the hospital, he was having all kinds of issues. And, we would take him to the pediatrician and here and there, and the dermatologist and the rheumatologist, all these places trying to get to the bottom of it. And we were really offered zero, less than zero help at identifying what was the cause of all these afflictions he had. It was more like have a prescription, here's a band-aid, this kind of stuff. It wasn't until he was 8 and he is 25 now that we were able to figure out through the help of a doctor. We kind of got out of the normal system and found a doctor that had a more open mind about finding the root causes. And she did a lot of labs and testing. And we realized his problem mainly stemmed from gut health, which stemmed from food. And so I grew up eating like Cheetos and a Coke for dinner, thinking, no problem, it's good for me. So we really had to step immediately outside of what we thought we knew and start to try to learn how to eat differently, how to prepare food differently, how to read every label, how to really understand what was going into our bodies and to our children's bodies in order to help him heal. What was amazing was within 6 weeks of him making these massive dietary changes, all of his labs, except for one, were back to normal. And in 8 weeks, they were all normal. And our son has gone on to not only survive, but to absolutely thrive in every way. Graduated at the top of his class in high school and college, played college football, so healthy. Um, and I think what would have happened had we not figured this out? Where would his life be? Where would our life be? Because with making those changes with food for him, all of us got a lot healthier. And I feel better now at my age, and I have more energy and I'm able to do more things than I ever could have done 20 years ago. So it really is truly, there's so much that we've lost in our modern society about how we eat, how we treat our bodies. We're completely disconnected from what goes in, has any impact. Our medical establishment does not believe in this, whatsoever. You don't get a lot of positive reinforcement when you're, seeing traditional doctors about type of stuff. So it's something we became obsessed with. And I literally went down in a rabbit hole, like reading, learning for the last really 20 years, trying to understand all of this. And so about 8 years ago, we decided to start Vibe Foods, which is absolutely the culmination and creation of everything that we've learned. So our business produces food that is all gluten-free, all chemical-free, which is very hard to do. Most restaurants, as you know, everything's margin. If you can save 2 cents going and getting something cheaper, that's what you do. We don't. We pick through every ingredient, whether it's as simple as lemon juice or peanut butter. Our peanut butter is just peanut. If you look at most peanut butters, if you look at industrial or restaurant grade peanut butter, there are all kinds of cottonseed oils, palm oils, hydrogenated oils. It also has like cane syrup, solids, sugars, corn syrup. I mean, terrible. And peanut butter should just be peanuts. So we are one of, I'm going to guess, maybe the only restaurant that uses nothing but peanuts in our peanut butter. But that's how crazy we are because we've seen the impact of removing all this toxic stuff out of our food and what it can do for health. And so we want to share that with the world.
Amazing, Shannon. That's amazing. And you see, your story now just proved to me that food also serves as medicine to the body. And the other thing I picked from your story is that ignorance can make you lose something that ought to still be yours. You see, that part where you mentioned that you went out and seeking insight, you said reading and learning and reading and learning, and you mentioned the other doctor you went to visit who was more open minded than the rest. And that's a great one. You see, I've always had my issues with many of these products out there. And that's why just recently when I went to get some groceries, I was reading the label. You see, someone walked up to me, why are you so serious just reading this stuff? I said, it's very important. Just leave me, okay? Very important. Because there are some things that I realized that ought not to be in many of these products. And they are there. Just today I was learning about some of these stuffs that they had in these sodas and all. And I discovered that they kind of at times uses they call it artificial sweeteners. I don't know if you know that. It is more cheaper than the usual sugar. And now I discovered that these artificial sweeteners now they have been linked to some potential health risk. Then I begin to wonder, why are you guys doing this? You know our how much risk is involved in. You keep adding these stuffs in your product. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm gonna pick the first question from what I mentioned earlier, food as medicine. So can you talk to us about the power of clean eating for families and busy professionals?
That's kind of the hard piece that people have a hard time wrapping their minds around. I recently did a survey of a lot of our customers and they said, what is keeping you from eating clean? Is it time? Because when you're really busy and you have to prepare things, you can't just go through a drive through. That is a real issue. I mean, trust me, working mom with 4 kids, I get it. Is it money? Because there's a perception that eating clean costs a lot more money. That can be true, but it also can be false depending on how you go about things. There's definite ways to eat clean on a budget, without a doubt. I also asked, is it taste? Because people have a perception that eating clean is not going to taste as good. And I will say there's a small reality to that initially because there are so many chemicals added into food that actually are designed and tested to excite your taste buds so that when you eat it, you're like, whoa, this is so good. But it's chemicals. It's not like the food itself is tasting good. If you took those chemicals out of that chip, it would taste horrible, but it's tricking your mouth. So initially, taste can be a quick little thing you just got to get over. But then when you start tasting real clean food, the other stuff tastes horrible. You get those chemicals out and suddenly you can taste the beauty of the fruits and vegetables and the meat and all of that good stuff. So there's also that. So there's lots of reasons why people, avoid eating clean. And a lot of it too, there's one other big reason that overlays this, and that is the marketing that goes around food. It's marketed to us in such a way that it's very compelling. You're like looking, you're watching TV and they're showing a soft drink. It's all cold and bubbly and sparkly. And you're like, oh, that looks so good. I'm thirsty. They know exactly what they're doing to make you want to drink that soft drink with all those artificial sweeteners. And then they say everyone's having fun drinking it and they're all like young and healthy. And, you look at that and you think, what could be bad about that? So it's really been interesting to me because people's paradigm about eating are so firm. Food is emotional to all of us. When you think of certain foods, it reminds you of your childhood or a holiday or a happy feeling and there's so much emotional connection as well that also prevents people from changing. But back to your question of a busy professional, it can be done. It needs to be done because if you want to stay a busy professional, you need to stay healthy. And if you're raising a family, the biggest goal is to stay healthy. Like, I want to be here for my grandkids, my great grandkids. I want to experience all that life has to offer. And when you really kind of shift your mindset to what's in it for you, like to eat healthy, it doesn't matter if you're busy. It doesn't matter if your budget's tight. It doesn't matter. All these things can be worked around when you have that commitment to your own body and what you want out of life.
I got that. I got that. Okay, I've got another question, okay? So, how do you ensure that the ingredients and products at Vibe Foods align with your clean eating mission? How do you do that?
So we read every label that comes in, and we work with mostly Whole Foods. So not Whole Foods, the store, but Whole Foods. So we don't have a lot of things that come to us that have already been processed. The things that come to us that have been processed might be like the peanut butter, for example. Somebody else is blending that. Easy for us to watch the label. And granola. So during the pandemic, we were using a really good, clean, organic, gluten-free granola. And this is what's happened to a lot of product. We saw this happen with a lot of our suppliers. The supply chain got tough and everybody was just trying to stay in business. So they were working with whatever they could. No, suddenly in came a box of granola and it had canola oil in it. And I'm like, that doesn't work for us. And then, I switched brands and then that brand looked good for a day. And then the next thing you know, they were putting in corn syrup and I'm like, oh my God, like we couldn't keep up during the pandemic with all the shifts that our suppliers were making. using cheaper whatever they could get their hands on. So we outsource our granola so that it's made with coconut oil, the sweeteners, maple syrup. It's clean as can be. So we've taken matters in our own hands. We've actually pulled a lot of products in house and started creating them ourselves so that they would stay organic by buying the raw materials to do it. I mean, it's just for us, we're in this for a higher purpose and we're on a mission. So if this were all about money to us, we could save money a bazillion ways by making changes to our ingredients. And I don't think this is the weird part. I don't think a lot of our customers would know because it would still taste good. And I honestly don't think that some of them would even care, because it's little things like lemon juice could have sodium benzoate in it. It's in almost every brand of lemon juice in the United States. That is a bad chemical and it's in everything, and all like, I'm not going to name all the names, but all the main coffee shops and different places use this chemical. We make sure we don't have that in our store. But if we had it in our lemon juice, I'm not sure anybody would know it or care, but we would know or care. Because for us, this is about doing the right thing, whether or not people know, because we see it in their faces when they come and eat. They feel better. They might have all these health issues or tummy troubles or whatever it is, and they keep coming back because eating at our store actually makes them feel so much better. We have a customer, this is like super random, but she has a lot of health problems and she found us just looking for an alternative to meet all of her. She got a lot of very extreme dietary issues. And so she comes in and she eats two of our bowls a day. So she buys a whole bunch, she freezes them. So that's at least 2/3 of her diet. And she called me and she was like ecstatic and in tears. Her blood work, her issues were going away. She went to the doctor and they were like, "We don't know what you're doing, but oh
Mhm.
my gosh, yeah, like you're absorbing food." And she said, "I have to tell you because I know because I eat so controlled and I know you guys are almost all of my diet that it's making a difference." And I was like trying not to cry. I was so happy because most of our customers get something here, get something there. I mean, it's a lifestyle you have to commit to, but she committed and man, like she feels 1,000 times better. And that just makes my heart so.
I tell you, that's a great one. Stuffs like that. I love to hear them. That's amazing. I love that. And you see, my desire is that you expand across the world because folks like you are needed across the world. I tell you, there are many people who do not even understand the content in the stuff they are eating. And for folks like you, I've created the solution. I feel like you're very important to this world. And I'm just going to say, keep doing what you're doing. Like you mentioned, you said it's all about doing the right thing, whether or not people can see or not, whether someone is there or not, you just have to do the right thing. And that shows that you're not living for impression or for aliens, for men or for praises and all of those things. So thank you for being you. I love that. So one more question. All right. So for someone who is new to clean eating, where would you suggest they start and how can they make it sustainable? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. Question. Okay. So it's really interesting you asked that because we literally just a couple weeks ago put together a guide and it's in our Instagram profile, like in our bio. And I just like, there's all this, are eggs good for you? Are they bad for you? Is meat good? Is meat bad? There's all this stuff people spend all their time fighting about. Oh, we shouldn't even be fighting about whether or not chemicals are bad. Our bodies were not designed for chemicals. Period. End of story. So, like, we can start having all those other questions about gluten, dairy, meat, eggs, all of that. But first, the simplest thing, the easiest thing is to just make choices that don't involve chemical. And so we compiled a list based on like you could go really deep on this, right? But like we went to the top level of watch out for these things. Just do not have these things. And we made this cute little guide that you can read. And if you want to read the why, it has all the science behind it, why you shouldn't eat these particular food dyes, why you shouldn't eat these artificial sweeteners, what it does, right? But then if you just want the, I don't care why, I just am not going to do it. We made a little guide that you could take when you have to make food purchases or food, decisions, to just have a cheat sheet with you. And all you have to do is just stay away from those things. And that, just that alone, that small shift will make a huge difference. And honestly, that's an easy shift to make. It really is. Because in today's world, there are options. There are literally options at every grocery store. If you have to have a processed cracker or chip or whatever, there are options. And depending on where you are in the world, your options are even better. If you're in the United States, there's some, because the United States has the worst food regulation in the world by far. If you're in another country, it's better, but still there are things that make its way into the food chains. If you go to our Instagram bio, which is we're by Food Superfood Bar, in our profile, you can just get a free guide and just click and take that with you. That is for us, because I get asked that question a lot. It's so overwhelming. Like, how do I make these changes? And it is overwhelming. And I've been doing this for 20 years. So for me, it's like, yeah, it's second nature. I get it. But for somebody who's just stepping into that, I try to put myself in that mindset of where I was when I found out what we had to do. And I was like, holy shit. Like, how am I going to do this? Like, this is overwhelming. So I try to put my mindset back in that and be like, I wish somebody could have handed me this guide, because this would have been a really simple, easy place to start. So, and it's for anybody.
So, anybody, I got that. Okay, listeners, you see, we've got to add to Shannon's Instagram account right now. We need to get a guide, I tell you. Me especially, I'm going to head there. Oh man, you see, nowadays I'm just so careful with the things I take in, because I believe food is medicine, and you just even proved it the more with your story. I tell you. So I'm gonna take that as a final takeaway. And for folks who would like to reach out to you, Shannon, would like to learn more about you. Okay, you mentioned your website, your Instagram. Do you have a website?
We do. It's Love LOP Tribe Food. And we personally answer every email that comes through there. And it's also linked in our Instagram, so that's easy too.
Okay, got that. So that's gonna be the end of the show, Shannon. Thank you for coming, and thank you for educating us. I tell you, this is very important stuff. Thank you so much.
Well, I just thank you so much for having me. I love what you're doing. You're doing important things for the world. So thank you.